Facebook Live. What's up? Talking to Facebook Live down here, talking to Twitter Live up here, and we're back for another week. I don't know where to look. Oh my gosh, I don't know where to look. We're back for another week of what I learned this week. Facebook Livers, you're a little bit more, either way, if you want to give this a share, whether you're watching on Facebook Live or whether you're watching on Twitter, either one of them, if you'd be so inclined to give this video a share, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty helpful. Spanny would appreciate that. I feel weird. It's interesting because so Twitter listeners right now, I Facebook Live every single morning. 6:30 a.m. every single morning, I'm Facebook Living for like a lot of days, hundreds of days. And I feel so natural on Facebook Live, but I feel so intruder-like on Twitter Live or Periscope, if that's what it's still called. Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm a little bit more nervous for today's broadcast because I'm talking to two audiences. But I thought to myself, I'm trying to build this show. I'm working diligently to build this show, and I need more eyes and ears to see it and listen. And I thought, holy moly, why don't I just utilize my audience and broadcast simultaneously? I may even get another device, plop it right here, and do Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook Live. I don't even know. It's crazy. I know. It's getting crazy. But anyway, this is it. So Facebook Livers, hello. Robbie. Hey, Robbie, how you doing, buddy? And Keith Eldred. So I'm going to go into my spiel here in a second. Like I said, if you'd be so inclined to share or tell a friend or tag this video or whatever you can do, I sincerely appreciate it. I think like I said, I may even branch into YouTube live streams too. So it's be like pop, 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 pop all around. But anyway, sincerely appreciated. Without further ado, thank you, Travis. Without further ado, I'm going to hop into recording this podcast episode. So Facebook Livers, you know the drill. I'm going to just record, no ad-libbing, no responding to comments. And Instagrammers. And Twitterers, I will be actually recording this audio. So if you make a comment, then I won't be able to respond because this audio will actually be uploaded to my podcast, which you can find on iTunes by simply searching out Spaniard. That's all you got to do, and click on subscribe. All right. 1, 2, 3. Were you ready? You ready, Facebook Livers? Hey, Dread. If the Facebook feed messes up, Dread, can you shoot me a text and say Facebook feed messed up because I can't see it right now? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Hello, all, and welcome to another episode of What I Learned This Week. Boy, is this not a technological rendezvous of a bunch of different things? So I'm recording on, for the podcast. I'm also recording on Twitter Live or Periscope, if it's still called Periscope, or Twitter Live. I don't know, truthfully. And I'm also recording on Facebook Live. So this is like coming at me, coming at you from all angles. So no matter how you're consuming this episode, I sincerely appreciate it. And if I sound a little bit amped up, it's because I am a little bit amped up, because I absolutely love recording what I learned this week. It's one of my favorite times of the week because I am, the self-anointed, don't tell anyone, but I'm the self-anointed world's toughest lifelong learner. And that means I love to learn. I love to read. I love to learn. I just finished the Steve Martin's book, Born Standing Up, and I'm about to start Aubrey Marx's Own the Day, Own Your Life. So I just consume. I'm a learning machine, una máquina de aprender, a learning machine, right? And what I learned this week, this episode, is a congregation of the week's most power-packed learning points. So who is it for, or why might you enjoy it? If you're listening to this show, maybe you just chanced upon it, and maybe you'll click off or stop or whatever. But if you're purposefully, whether you're on iTunes or Libsyn or wherever you're listening, if you're on my website or if you tuned in to one of the live streams, then you're like an ambitious person. You're a driven person. You need fuel, right? You need fuel. Joe Rogan talks about it all the time. He talks about fuel. And I get fuel from reading books. I get fuel from having conversations with people who are either interesting, successful, adventurous, inspirational. That's my fuel. That's how I use that to operate at a high level. And this, what you're about to hear, this episode, is the audio version of what can be yours if you visit charliespaniard.com and opt into my email list. I will send you this bulleted. You hear it right there. That's the PDF. I will send you this bulleted. It's essentially my guide right now. Point to use it for your own fuel, for your own team, for your own group. You're a high performer. You lead high performers. You want to be a high performer. You want your students, you want your team, you want your business to be high performers. They need to hear. They need to connect. They need to learn. And that's exactly what this document and this episode is for. I want to remind you that if you are a first time or a new listener, every single day I put out a new 8-minute episode. A new 8-minute episode of energy for you every single day. It's educational, it's entertaining, and it's inspirational, and it's yours Monday through Friday. All right, let's hop into this week's What I Learned This Week. I just finished up Born Standing Up by Steve Martin. It was an incredible book. It was referenced to me by one of my former AM Extended members and a friend, someone who's become a friend who I got to know through the show. And he said, you know, you should read this Steve Martin's book. It's really good. It's called Born Standing Up. So I got it. I read it. There's so many facts, so many awesome statistics, so much of his journey, how he started this young boy working at Disneyland. He got a magic act and he moved on to comedy and then acting, ups and downs and in-betweens, and believing in himself when no one else believed in him and his act and his style. It was so unique. On the back cover, it mentioned discipline, originality, and sacrifice. And those I mentioned the whole time I'm talking about this book. Those are themes, right? Discipline, sacrifice, and originality. Guess what? They're free. Discipline is self-discipline. You do it yourself. Sacrifice. You choose to sacrifice. You choose not to sacrifice. And originality. Guess how you can be original? By stinking being you. Just stinking be you. Remember that? Just stinking be you. That's originality. So the first bullet point in What I Learned This Week PDF is this. Steve Martin practiced his first act, right? So his first act, which was a 6-minute magic act, he practiced it 4 times a day, five times on Sunday for 3 years. 4 times a day, 5 on Sunday for 3 years, a 6-minute act, right? He performed that act 4 times a day, 5 on Sunday for 3 years. I did the math. That's over 27,000 minutes of a 6-minute act. That's over 27,000 minutes of a 6-minute act. 27,000 divided by 6, that's a crazy number. The point there is if you want to be great, if you want to be a master, if you want to walk with confidence, if you want to walk with your shoulders back and your chin up high, you got to put in the work. You got to put in the time to achieve that mastery. This book, Steve Martin's book, I had a feeling it would do this for me, and it definitely did do this for me. It laid out in front of me. It showed me. It reminded me, hey, Spaniard, this journey, you know, your journey to the UFC, your journey in speaking, your journey in podcasting, your journey in authoring, your journey in teaching and entertaining and inspiring, it's going to be a long one. And this book did a great job of putting me back in the here and now and understanding, really comprehending that it is the day-to-day that will make the difference. Next bullet point I want to talk about, and this is fascinating. So Steve Martin does a great job in this book. Whether you know him from The Jerk, whether you know him from his comedy stand-up, whether you know him from Father of the Bride, get this book and read it, because it's as if I'm hearing, like I'm reading this book, hearing him. I'm reading him, hearing him, seeing it, visualizing it because of what I had seen on stage and on camera before, but now I'm knowing the backstory. Now I'm knowing the background, and it paints it so much clearer. He says he gave himself 2 rules on stage. Now, this was a kid with a dream, and then it became a guy with a dream, and then it became a guy who was all in on this dream. But his comedy was so original, he was so unique that it took a long time for people to catch on to it. They just didn't get it. So during these mid-career, midstream ups and downs, he said he gave himself 2 rules on stage. Number 1, and this is for any performer. This is for any entertainer, any performer, sports or otherwise. If you're a teacher, if you're a business person, if you have to give a pitch or a sales or any sort of being in front of people in commanding attention, commanding credibility, right? Showing off, radiating credibility. These are 2 tips that he used that helped me, and they're going to help you as well. Number 1, never let them know I was bombing. Never let them know I was bombing. You can either see my smile or hear my smile. Have you ever bombed on stage? Have you ever bombed, fallen flat on your face? Literally I've fallen flat on my face. Actually, I never fell flat on my face. I fell back on my head. Have you ever bombed on stage or bombed in a performance? Were you ever giving a speech and you thought to yourself, I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I don't even know. Sweat's running down your back. I was giving a talk one time at a school. It was rough. It was a rough crowd, a rough performance. And I was standing up there and I had sweat running down my back. I had sweat running down my forehead. I was bombing, right? Had I read this story before, I would have repeated in my head, never let them know you're bombing. Never let them know they're bombing. Never let you know they're bombing. But that was his rule number one, right? You are in command. Act like it. Rule number two, make the audience believe I thought I was fantastic, that my confidence could not be shattered. Make the audience believe I thought I was fantastic, that my confidence could not be shattered. Those are his two rules. And I want to add to that second rule, right? So make the audience believe I thought I was fantastic, that my confidence could not be shattered. I want you to ponder this. If Steve Martin, if I wouldn't have the legwork, wouldn't have the resume of hard work, of focus, of discipline, of sacrifice, of work, right? If you didn't have that behind you, do you think it'd be easy to stand on stage in front of 100 people, 1,000 people, on TV in the octagon in front of 500,000 people, or on a stage like Steve Martin in front of 45,000 people? If you didn't put in the work, if you didn't do the due diligence, the hours, the mastery, the practice that it takes to become that thing, your confidence will not be there. You can put on airs, you can act, you can pretend, but the audience will know, right? Your opponent, if I'm fighting you, you're going to know. When we go nose to nose right there in that weigh-in, you're going to know. You're going to look in my eyes. That was my favorite time. My favorite time of fighting was weigh-ins, because we're nose to nose. I'm smelling your breath. I'm feeling your heat. I know. I'm looking in your eyes and I can tell, yeah, you're ready, or no, you're not ready. Either way, I'm ready and we're ready to rock and roll. If you don't put in that work, you will not achieve that confidence. So the next bullet point. I don't know si hay unos hispanohablantes y escuchándome ahora los lunes o los martes. Yo enseño español en el podcast. Cada martes sale un episodio en español. Y lo que hago cada martes, every Tuesday, yo hago este episodio, este contento, esta información en español. So every Tuesday, I am putting out what I'm saying in English right now. Every Tuesday, it comes out in Spanish, right? It's the same format, same content. For un hispanohablante, someone who already speaks Spanish, listen to this. You're going to enjoy it, because it's just going to be a really informational, educational, entertaining, inspiring episode. If you're trying to learn Spanish, think of it this way. You have the document, you have the guide, you have the cheat sheet already in front of you. So when I say el próximo punto, y voy a hablar del Steve Martin dijo esto, you're gonna have context to what I'm saying. It's a guide, it's a cheat sheet, and you're going to recognize, because you have the context of what I'm teaching, you're going to recognize, you're going to be able to comprender, entender, you're going to be able to understand more of it. So whether you're a fluent Spanish speaker, someone like me who is fluent but still makes gringo errors, or whether you're an aspiring Spanish-speaking student, Speak Spanish with Spaniard comes out every Tuesday. Get on it, get this guide in front of you, and listen to the episode. The next point is I think of Frankie Edgar. You know, a long time ago, I read a book called Beyond Grit by Dr. Sindra Kamphoff, at Mentally Strong, or at Mentally_strong on Twitter. And in it, she talked about success being sustained performance. So success is sustained performance. Success being, are you able to perform at a high level for a long period of time? And when I read this quote from Steve Martin, I thought about that book, and then I immediately thought of Frankie again. Frankie Edgar has been the best, one of the best, the top 3 best for, it's got to be close to a decade, or 8 years anyway. Frankie Edgar is the epitome of that, right? So when I was reading this book about Steve Martin, he had this quote that made me think of Frankie, and it tells something about consistency. It tells something about quality of work. It tells something about dependability. As an employee, as a boss, as a business owner, as a father and a husband, I strive for consistency. I strive for a high level of performance on a regular basis. Steve Martin says this, and granted, he's the epitome of working hard. He's the epitome of going on the road. He's the epitome of putting in the time and putting in the work. He says this: it was easy to be great. What was hard was to be good, night after night, no matter what the abominable circumstances. It was easy to be great. In the book, he talks about being great, like it's luck or it's statistical. Every once in a while, right, you're going to find a nut. Every squirrel finds a nut. Every once in a while, you're going to have that great performance. What's tough, what's difficult, what I'm striving for is to be consistently at the top. Consistency and quality are two of the core values of this program, of the Spaniard in general. Consistency, quality, authenticity, simplicity. Those are like the 4 guidelines that guide me in creating content for this podcast. Martin, it was easy to be great. What was hard was to be good night after night. You know why? Because it's hard. Discipline is hard. It's difficult. I want it here. I want it now. I don't want to put in the time. And then you lose your steam. You lose your momentum. You lose your motivation. But when you freaking believe, I'm on AM Excellence 400, AM Excellence 480 today. That means for the first 100 episodes was 7 days a week. And since then, it's been 5 days a week. It might take me to AMX 1,000 until I break, until I hit, until I get over that proverbial hump. But I don't care, because it's going to happen, because I made it a boom, a resolution, a whatever, quality, consistency, boom, quality, consistency, easy to be great. What was hard was to be good. And that's coming straight from Steve Martin's mouth. That's not coming from my mouth, right? So you want to say, well, you really did. Maybe. What are you going to say, Steve Martin? What can you say to Steve Martin? You were only the best in the world. Never mind, Steve. I'm going to shut my mouth. So if you're not going to listen to me, listen to him. The next bullet point, what I learned this week, the best of the best. I heard this quote, I think first I heard it from Coit Cooper. Coit is a fellow wrestler, fellow speaker, fellow podcaster, CoitCooper.com, friend of mine, mentor of mine, really. And I believe I heard him say it or type it or reference it first. And then the other day, I done work with Jack Canfield of the Success Principles, Chicken Soup for the Soul. I got certified under his Train the Trainer program. We have hopefully big things coming your way. And he sent out an email the other day that was the same thing. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I got to write this down. And I actually did write it down on a Post-it. If you're watching on the live streams, you can see it. If you're not, you can imagine a little Post-it with this information down. Jack Canfield said this: we have 50,000 conversations with ourselves every day, 50,000 conversations with ourselves every day, and 40,000 of them are negative. Take that stat in for a second. 50,000 conversations with ourselves every day, and 40,000 of them are negative. That's 80% that are negative. Now, back to that book, Beyond Grip by Dr. Cindra Kamphoff, she talks about these things called ants, automatic negative thoughts, right? We're drawn to it. As human beings, loss aversion propels us more than winning something. So the thought of losing something is more of a motivator than the thought of gaining something. It's human nature, it's science, it's data, it's whatever. So there's this thing with negativity, or this thing with loss that is a part of human nature. So 50,000 conversations, 40,000 of them are negative. That's 80%. So what can you do with that? Like, why? Okay, great, Spender. So you taught me that bit of information, but what do I do with it exactly? I'll tell you what you do with it. So yesterday I was walking my daughter. We went for a walk, and it was nice. It was beautiful weather. I was going to pick up my car at the garage. And, we were walking, and I found myself going down a rabbit hole of negativity, okay? And then this is why you should watch AM Excellence or listen to AM Excellence every single day. Search out Spaniard on iTunes or Facebook.com/Charlie Spaniard. If you're watching on Twitter, Twitter.com/Charlie Spaniard. Once this information is brought to your brain, right, to the surface of your brain, the surface of your being, the surface of your mind, you recall it much more easily. That's why I read so much, because if I read about success, if I read about excellence, if I read about people like Steve Martin and Aubrey Marcus of On, if I read about these people, I'm going to retain that information, and that will propel me to action more often than it would otherwise be. So I'm walking my daughter, and I remember learning about this 50,000, 40,000 of them are negative stat. And then I remembered Dr. Kampoff's book about automatic negative thoughts, and then her strategy for overcoming them. Catch them, address them, refocus them. And I actually did that in my mind. I caught them. I said, boom, Charlie, you're thinking about a negative thing right now. Let's take a step back. And then I addressed it. And it had to do something with business or slow growth, etc. And then I challenged it. And then I said this. I addressed it or challenged it. I said this. You believe in yourself, right? And I said to myself, yep. You believe you're the best in the world at what you're doing, right? And I said, yep. And then it was refocus it. Take that energy and refocus it. And in that time, I refocused it on my daughter, the beautiful weather, our dog, our walk, her little hand in my hand, and boom, that was it. So that's like a real-time application of why you should learn, why you should buy into reading, why you should buy into the Spaniard Show, to be honest. Moving on, the next bullet point, and this is from the guest we had, this week, Sebastian Terry. I was just texting him a little bit ago, and just his, it was a voice text that he sent me. And he's Australian. He lived in England for a period. He lives in the U.S. now. And he's just a fun dude with a lot of energy, a great accent, and a lot to give. So he started this movement, really, called 100 Things. So 100things.com.au, because it's an Australian website. And many years ago, he had an incident in his life, and you can listen to episode number 177. If you subscribe to this PDF right here, there's clickable links that, boom, you click, and it'll start playing, so you can listen to it automatically or directly. You know, there was an event in his life that happened, and it set him on this journey. He made a list of 100 things I want to do before I die, basically, in my life, 100 things. And it turned into this list of things to do to seek more happiness in life. And then from there, it turned into helping other people. And now it's just this giant movement of energy and inspiration, feel goodness, collectivity, connection, community. It's turned into a really special thing. And I put a quote from the episode that says this: I have a list of 100 things that I'm trying to do to be happier in life. And it's morphed into this helping platform. There was one rule, I believe it was rule number 26, and I believe it was do something nice for someone else. Do something nice for a stranger. I believe that's specifically what it was. Do something nice for a stranger. It had to do with doing a good deed for someone. And he said that changed the trajectory of his life, the trajectory of this movement. That's it. With Steve Martin, it was originality, it was discipline, it was sacrifice. With Sebastian Terry, it's do something nice for someone else. All of these things are free. They don't cost $1 million. They don't even cost $100. They don't even cost $1. They cost no dollars. Open a door, say something nice, go pick someone up, whatever you can do. But that episode number 177 with Sebastian Terry, it's energy, people. Right now, I'm recording this on Friday. I don't know when you're going to be listening to this, but energy, as per Scott Adams, creator of Dilbert, writer of awesome book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, said, and I agree 1,000,000,000%, energy is the most important metric to track. Energy, my friends, E. I'll tell you why I just misspelled energy and said E. Because there's a kid's song by Laura Berkner that says B-E energy, B-E energy. So that's why I misspelled it like that. But E-N-E-R-G-Y, my friends, energy. And the last, but certainly not the least, and this is tying in one of my, I say indirect mentors a lot, because these people, I mean, they might know of me, but they certainly don't communicate with me on a regular basis or have ever. But guys like Cale Sanderson, the books I read, you know, the Rock, right? Haven't yet become friends with the Rock, but that's on my radar. Another one of those people is Jordan Burroughs. You know, I respect, admire, aspire to be like Jordan Burroughs, Olympic champion, solid dude. Just I don't know, I just super respect the guy. I think he's awesome. And there was a documentary that put out a couple years ago that said My Name is Jordan. And reading Steve Martin's book, again, this is what happens when you read so much. You begin to recall things that you're like, whoa, where'd that come from deep in my brain? Oh, there it is. Okay. But it reminded me of something because Steve Martin in his book talks a lot about the ups and downs of his career, getting to beyond where he ever imagined, and it not being sunshine and happiness, but there being things that went along with it and it being a lonely time. And it reminded me of a quote from that documentary. I actually went back to the documentary and searched out the entire one to find the exact line. And it's this. Jordan Burroughs' dad told him, if you wish for something, you be prepared to handle it once it arrives. I got chills down my spine. If you wish for something, you be prepared to handle it once it arrives. Again, if you're still listening to this show, you're a dreamer, you're a doer, you're a leader, you're someone who wants to accomplish big things in life. I'm right beside you. Shoulder to shoulder we are. Hombro a hombro estamos. We are shoulder to shoulder. If you wish for something, you be prepared to handle it once it arrives. You do the work. You do the preparation. You do the work on yourself. You do the reading. You do the conversation. You have the conversations. You ask the questions. You do the exercise. You eat the right things. That's being ready. That is preparation. That is being ready for whatever comes your way. Thank you for all tuning in, whether you're watching on the live streams or whether you're listening on the podcast or whether you're listening on social media. Spaniard, Spanny sincerely appreciates it. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, live streaming. Definitely on Facebook.com/Charlie Spaniard. Maybe even on Twitter.com/Charlie Spaniard. I don't know. Maybe even on YouTube.com/Charlie Spaniard. I don't even know. It's so crazy. All I know is my mission is to develop tough, lifelong learners. My mission is to develop tough, resilient human beings who take to this lifelong learning, who take to this reading, who take to this asking questions, who take to this doing, winning, losing, whatever, learning, and moving forward, not just to get by, right? We're not just getting by. We're freaking getting by, people. We're going after it, right? We're going to get it. That's what I'm looking to do. So please, any way you can help spread that message, whether you share this video, tell a friend, tag a friend, you have an awesome guest you want to put me in contact with, let me know. Hop on over to charliespaniard.com. And what I do to actually make a business out of this is speak on stage. So if you're a school, if you're a business, if you're a team, and you're looking for a dynamic, entertaining, inspiring speaker, I know a guy. His name is Spaniard, and you can find him at charliespaniard.com/booking. Woo. 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 I'll give you the old Ric Flair. Woo. All right. So, Twitterers, I hope this worked. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate you tuning in. Facebook Livers, give me a second. Comment, feedback, etc. I will do my best to answer all of them, if possible, as soon as I possibly can. Thank you all for your support. Subscribe, search out Spaniard on iTunes, on Stitcher, etc., etc., etc. Be bold, my friends. Okay, Facebook Livers. I'm back. I'm back. I think that went all right. Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. Ended. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out Twitter. I don't even know. Is it called Periscope anymore? Does anyone know that question? I don't know. Yeah. So that's it, people. I really enjoyed this. It's also weird because I'm recording from my computer right now. And when you record from your phone, it's mirrored. But right now, it's not mirrored. So like, for example, I'm moving my hand to the left and my phone went that way. But when it's mirrored on your phone, it's like you move that way, whatever. So anyway, I'm trying to get used to that. So anywho, thank you all for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate it. And I'll be back Monday morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes. See ya.